Good morning, my comrades. Firstly, let me congratulate the newly elected
Alles wat jy sê steek met saam. Maar jy sien ons vir jare bekend ons die departement.
So let me do the forestry thing on that day.
Good morning, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning,
Good
morning, Chief.
Chairperson. Morning.
I'm clearly audible.
Morning,
audio-
Chairperson.
Yes,
Yes, you're clear.
Morning, Kabazel.
Morning.
Eh. Morning, Makumalo.
Morning, Slalo. How are you?
I'm good. It's 9:30. Good morning to all members that I did not mention their names. It's 9:30 now. I think we need to start our meeting. Makumalo, you can mute your mic. And also,
Chairperson, good morning.
morning, Weeb. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And how are you?
I'm good.
I just want to mention that you will see a gadget by the name of Honorable Chavan. It's not Honorable Chavan. It's myself.
Okay. I was about to ask.
I'm trying to rename, but it's not allowing me. So if there is IT person there, you can assist me. Yes.
Oh, okay. No, noted, Honorable Pelankulu. Noted. I see there's
Good
mics
morning,
that are
Chairperson.
open. Good morning.
DM Singh,
I'm using Inderal's gadget.
Oh, okay, Honorable TM. So it's you using in the LAL
Yeah.
gadget.
Yes.
Okay, Honorable. No, noted, and also Bilangul. Okay, noted then. I see the mic that is open off. Oh, it's SAPC. Okay. I'm going to switch off my video, honorable members and colleagues, so that my network can be stable. Honorable members and colleagues, on the 10th of June, the Office of the Speaker of the National Assembly wrote to the Portfolio Committee about ongoing challenges faced by the West Coast Cocoa tribe at the West Coast National Park. In the correspondence, Honorable Managa, please, you must watch your gadget. Honorable members, on the 10th of June, the Office of the Speaker of the National Assembly wrote to the committee about the ongoing challenges faced by West Coast Cocoa tribe at the West Coast Park. In the correspondence, Ms. C. Rogers from the West Coast Cocoa tribe complains about plans developed by SANParks for the West Coast National Park and Langeban community. In particular, Ms. Rogers raised concerns about poor maintenance of heritage sites within the West Coast National Park, lack of inclusivity, transparency and consideration given to community-driven proposals, privatization of ancestral land, and failure to engage with the tribal community of Langeban. The letter concludes that there have been multiple meetings without appropriate follow-ups from SANParks. She adds that the indigenous community of Langeban felt excluded from meaningful participation, hence the request that Parliament address the grievances raised. So in the meeting, we have representatives from Langeban community, and also today's meeting is being held to gain a clear understanding of the operations challenges and solutions at the Table Mountain National Park and the West Coast National Park. Having a detailed understanding of these challenges and solutions will also allow the committee to respond to the office and to the Office of the Speaker and also the affected stakeholders. I am aware that we have a representative here in the name of Mr. Douglas, who is also part of the community of Cocoa tribe. He is also in this meeting. I also acknowledge him. With those opening remarks, honorable members and colleagues, I welcome all of you in today's briefing. Key, can you then flight our agenda? I have noted the presence of Honorable Singh. I just wanted to check if Honorable TM Swartz, yes, she is also here. I'm not sure whether Honorable Minister is part of the meeting. I did not get an apology whether he will be part of the meeting. However, as we go to apologies, I will get that indication if there's any apology from his side. Key, there any apologies?
Yes, Chair, I have two apologies from Deputy Minister Swartz and the board chairperson of SANParks, Ms. Yago. They've requested Chair to leave the meeting early. Those are the two apologies. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Key apologies are noted. Our agenda is as
Chairperson,
follows.
sorry.
Yes, Honorable Singh.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't see the hand gadget here. Apologies on behalf of the minister. He's in Addis Ababa on government business, and he's prepared some remarks that I'll probably share on his behalf and on behalf of the executive. So sorry that they didn't send a written apology to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable T.M. Singh. Apology is noted. Our agenda, honorable members and colleagues, we are done with opening remarks, apologies. There's item number 2, overview by Chairperson of the Board of SANParks, then briefing by SANParks CEO. It will be followed by questions and discussions, then it will be adjournment. Can I then move for the adoption of the agenda, honorable members? Okay, Honorable Managa.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, Ms. Gancho. Let me also greet the Deputy Minister, the representatives from DFFE, and also the SANParks Board. I raised my hand, Honorable Chairperson, to move for the adoption of the agenda that is before us. I so move. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Manaka. Honorable Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to your good self. Honorable members that are on the platform, SANParks officials, members of the board. Chair, I want to move to second Honorable Manaka with the adoption of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kumalo. I am going to give over to Honorable Singh to do opening remarks, and will be followed by Honorable Swartz to also do her own remarks. Honorable Singh.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I greet you and all the other honorable members of the committee. I greet the Director General from the department, together with the CEO of SANParks and their respective teams, and the delegation from the West Coast, who have raised this very, very important issues and concerns that they have. And we appreciate the fact that they've raised these concerns, and all I'm going to do, Chairperson, is make some opening remarks on behalf of the Minister as well, and the Executive, and I'm sure DM Swartz could add. So thank you for the opportunity to address the committee on these two critical matters concerning Table Mountain National Park and West Coast National Park. Officials from SANParks, under the leadership of the CEO, will provide detailed responses to the issues raised by the committee and the delegation from West Coast. However, I believe it is important to begin with some contextual remarks to frame our discussions today. Honorable Chairperson, our commitment to safeguarding these national treasures stems from a deep appreciation of the ecological, cultural, and social value. Table Mountain National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and part of the Cape Floristic region, is not only an iconic natural landmark, but also a vital ecological and recreational space for millions. What is often less highlighted is that this park encompasses both terrestrial and marine environments, including a marine protected area. This marine space supports a rich and diverse area of life that is critical to both commercial and recreational fishers. Similarly, the West Coast National Park plays a vital role in conserving a wide range of ecosystems. It is home to diverse bird life, fynbos vegetation, significant fossil sites, and marine biodiversity. Notably, it includes Ramsar-listed wetlands such as the Langaban Lagoon, which are internationally recognized for their ecological importance. Chairperson, these introductory remarks are intended to provide a foundation for understanding the investments we are making to confront the challenges facing these parks. We are fully aware of the imperative to act, and where shortcomings have occurred, we are actively working to close those gaps. And today we reaffirm our commitment to that work. At the same time, we will welcome the guidance of this committee having listened to the community from Langaban on areas where you believe we must apply ourselves more rigorously. With that, Honorable Chairperson, I then hand over back to you for DM Swartz to make remarks, and I will also leave at about 10:30 for a cabinet committee. So that'll be my apology. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. Honorable Swartz, if there's any additions that you would like to. Over to you, Honorable Swartz.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning to you and good morning to all the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. Also to acknowledge our DG Ms. Nomfundo Shabalala and her team from the DFFE and the CEO of SANParks and the chairperson of the SANParks board and her team as well, and all our officials.
DM, can you just hold a bit? Barbara, you please, can you mute your mic? You are disturbing the meeting. Sorry, Honorable DM Swartz, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, before I begin, having looked at the presentation, I would just like, through you, Chairperson, because I would leave earlier as well to go and attend Cabinet Committee, as I did submit an apology, just to understand from SANParks and the SANParks board, if at all they are aware of the letter that was written, because when I looked at the presentation, I did not see the presentation covering what the chairperson has alluded to in terms of the letter that came from the Speaker's office that was written by the community, because I think that would be also a challenge for me, because I would have expected that in the presentation, SANParks would have included or responded to what had been raised in the meeting as well, Honorable Chairperson. But we appreciate the opportunity to engage in a meaningful discussion about issues that warrant our full attention and consideration. This meeting presents a crucial opportunity to discuss the challenges and successes of our national parks, particularly focusing on the issues faced by Table Mountain and West Coast National Parks as outlined in the SANParks presentation. The SANParks presentation highlights significant challenges faced by Table Mountain and West Coast National Parks, including crime, encroachment, wildfires, and infrastructure limitations. Solutions focus on increased staffing, improved security technology, strengthened partnerships with law enforcement and other stakeholders, and infrastructure upgrades. A key concern is the potential environment impact of the crops mine adjacent to West Coast National Parks, with SANParks actively involved in legal challenges and monitoring efforts. The overarching goal is to balance conservation with visitor needs and community engagement. We will delve into the strategies implemented to address these challenges and explore how we can further enhance the sustainability and protection of these invaluable natural assets. We look forward to a productive and insightful discussion and guidance from the Portfolio Committee's oversight. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable DM Swartz. I am just informed that also there is Mr. Jordan from Kokokwa tribe. Also, welcome, Mr. Jordan. We acknowledge your presence. I am now going to hand over to the chairperson of SANParks board, Ms. Yako, to just do brief remarks before we hand over to the CEO. And also I acknowledge the presence of the DG and the team. You are also welcomed, DG. Over to you, Mamiago.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Ms. Gancho, and all members of the committee, Minister in absentia, and DM Singh and DM Swartz, the DG, the CEO of SANParks and Management, and everyone else in attendance. Chairperson, mine is not going to be long remarks because I think both the deputy ministers have given a context to our management of the two national parks, which are important for us as part of the broader suite of national parks that we manage on behalf of South Africa. And we also welcome the opportunity to come to the committee and be able to answer any pertinent questions that might have been raised or the committee might have in terms of their oversight responsibility, and also just to talk about some of the key challenges and issues that face us as the entity and how are we dealing with those. I would like to say upfront, Honorable Chairperson, I had, when you were making the opening remarks and making reference to the letter, I immediately requested or inquired from my colleagues whether we had received the letter because I had not seen it. And it had just been sent to us now as we are already in the meeting.
I'm sorry.
So we are now in possession, as DM Swartz has indicated. We have now received the letter. However, and I would request an apology here, Chairperson, and beg for your indulgence that we would maybe listen to the submissions today made by the community, but our presentation has not been tailor-made to respond to the concerns as expressed in the letter. And the reason for that, Chairperson, is that we have just received the letter as we're sitting in this meeting. If our apologies accepted, Honorable Chairperson, we will then request the CEO to start with the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mamiago. Before handing over to the CEO with powers that are vested in me, I will request Mr. Jordan to just make a presentation, 5-minute presentation, so that he can take you through saying, I've noted that you are saying you've just received the letter now. So I'm using my powers as the chairperson now to give Mr. Jordan just a 5-minute briefing with regards to the the issue of West Coast and Cocoa tribe. Mr. Jordan?
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having me this morning. My presentation will be the SANParks. It's very, very, very important for our people. We, as a Cocoa Iconis tribe in the West Coast, have numerous inability to access to the parks for indigenous reasons. And we want this committee of the chairperson of SANParks to please give us clarity of the questions which may arise. Thank you, Mrs. Chair.
Thank you, Chief Jordan, CEO of SANParks. Over to you. Ms. Hapilwa?
Honorable Chair, my apologies. I was just having a difficulty with my technology. Good morning to yourself, Honorable Chair and Honorable Committee members. I'd like to acknowledge Minister in absentia, Minister George, I would like to greet Deputy Minister Singh and Deputy Minister Swart, as well as the chairperson of the Board of SANParks. I acknowledge the presence of the members of the West Coast Indigenous community as well in this meeting. Honorable Chair, as the chairperson of the board has indicated, the letter and the issues pertaining to the community, the indigenous communities from the West Coast area of the Western Cape is a matter that we would need to, we've only just received the letter, and we would need to reflect, and you will then guide us, Honorable Chair, about how best then for us to respond and at which platform. Today's discussion does not touch on the issues that have come from, I believe it's the Kokogwaga tribe. That was what Mr. Jordan had referred to. So we will be guided by yourself, Chair. I will begin my presentation, Honorable Chair. The presentation has been shared, so I won't necessarily be going through every slide. But nevertheless, there are some that I'd like to highlight, including our background on both national parks, and as well as the complexities and the proposed solutions that we are working on as management for these complexities that we face in both of these parks. We have structured the presentation in two sections. We're starting off with Table Mountain, and then we move on to West Coast National Park. And as I've indicated, we have attempted as best as possible to identify the unique pressures each national park faces. And I'm saying as best as possible because there is always multiple challenges and complexities that face us in the management of national parks. But we have attempted to highlight the ones that we believe are crucial for discussion at a platform of this nature. We are also trusting that we are able to communicate very clearly to yourselves, honorable members, that our interventions are significant enough to address the current risks, but that they are also laying the foundation for a sustainable long-term protection of our natural heritage in these two national parks and others. Table Mountain National Park is a massive park. It is 225 square kilometers. It is a park within a city, and it's an open access park, meaning that there are no fences and gates per se. There will be one or two areas on the mountain itself where we do have access gates, but in the main, a good 80% or so of that area is open access, which means that it blends into the city. As acknowledged in the opening remarks, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and from a conservation point of view, it has high endemism of species within which are related to the Cape flora. It is, as you would know, one of the most visited tourism destinations. If it's actually in the top three of tourism destinations visited in South Africa. It is a very critical pillar in our revenue generation as SANParks. As you are aware, honorable members, SANParks generates up to 80% of its revenue, and this revenue is what enables us to fulfill our conservation and socioeconomic transformation mandates. So Table Mountain is a major contributor to our financial sustainability. And it is on the basis of the revenue that is generated from the top four national parks that generates significant revenue that we are able to cross-subsidize across the other remaining parks to ensure that the conservation mandate remains intact and that we are able to execute it. We have changed the business model at Table Mountain National Park, which in the last 5 years has seen a major change or increase in the ability of the national park to generate revenue. In 5 years, Table Mountain generated 1.34 billion in revenue, largely through the cable car, Cape Point, and Boulders. Those are the three major generators. I think just to share this picture to indicate the vastness, as I would expect that committee members have seen this image before, and I will not spend too much time on it. But what I will spend time on is really just to put a fine point to the vastness which earlier on I spoke to in terms of square kilometers, and just to indicate to you on a map the terrestrial area we are speaking about when we talk about Table Mountain National Park. It starts from the city Signal Hill, that's in the heart of the city of Cape Town, all the way down to Hout Bay, to Cape Point, which is the furthest point, Muizenberg and Masiphumelele area and Muizenberg. So that is the area that we're talking about today. And as I've indicated, a good 80% of this area is open access, meaning that members of the public are able to walk in and out without any direct interaction with officials. This open access status presents a number of challenges and complexities. One of them is safety and security. The national park is usually a microcosm from a safety and security perspective of the challenges that the city of Cape Town faces itself. So the safety and crime issues in the city of Cape Town tend to spill over into Table Mountain National Park. What then exacerbates the situation, obviously, is with it being in terms of its space, the space it occupies, and the number of kilometers where you may find people traversing and there are no settlements, meaning there is no visual contact with other individuals, only exacerbates the crime risk that we face within the park. We also are dealing with environmental crimes, which is the poaching of abalone. As you are aware, committee members, we've touched on this matter in previous meetings. And we also deal with illegal harvesting, particularly of tree bark, within the national park. One of the very unique complexities in running a national park within a city, as we do, is that one of urban encroachment. Where literally we see human habitation taking or coming in gradually and sometimes dramatically into areas that are proclaimed as a national park. Masiphumelele as a community, I will mention specifically, and as well as the Hangback community, where even visually, the encroachment is very clear. We have other types of encroachments, which is citizens who live in suburbs around the national park who tend to encroach by way of meters into the national park in terms of their yards. So they increase the space that their yards have and encroach into the national park. But those are the ones that are deep in the city, such as that area within Signal Hill. And that's why I'm saying that there are some where visually the encroachment is very, very clear. We have a serious risk that we may find ourselves having these sections where this encroachment has occurred being deproclaimed. In 2022, I believe, Cape Nature had to deproclaim sections of a nature reserve called Driftsense in Cape Town. And that deproclamation resulted in a reduction of the protected area by about, I think, give or take, just over 100 hectares. So that is a major concern with urban encroachment. It is a complex matter to manage because it requires a cross-functional team governmentally to ensure that encroachment is curbed. We also have a complexity with wildfires. Wildfires are a constant in Table Mountain. Literally every year, we are seeing significant numbers of fires. Just in the past financial year, the colleagues in Table Mountain had to deal with over 100 wildfires. We have a rapid response program, and we have been able to contain at least 90%. We have a 90% containment rate for these wildfires. We must just indicate that there are a few causes of these wildfires. On the one hand, there are human acts that create fires where people are overnighting on the mountain. There are perhaps even situations of suspected arson, and then there is nature that does take over, given that is an area of fynbos, and fynbos by its very nature is a species that is prone to wildfires, and it also propagates based on fire. However, we have a rapid response. Prevention is also critical, which also includes ensuring that alien species are cleared rapidly and frequently. And that is one of our preventative measures, but it is a complexity. We have quite a significant trails and parks infrastructure. Table Mountain, by its very nature, attracts people who are walkers. They walk on trails that are formal. Some of these trails we have built-in planks and built-in stairs. However, these trails are often impacted on by the very fires I've mentioned. They're impacted on by rain and floods. And give or take, we have about 1,000 kilometers of trails dotted across the mountain. And at times we battle to turn around the repair and maintenance of these trails in good time. It is a matter that we are aware of. It is a matter that on the ground we are finding solutions to very quickly to ensure that we have sufficient boots on the ground, not only sufficient boots on the ground, but a clear program of action with regards to the key issue being rapid repair and maintenance of our infrastructure, particularly infrastructure that is impacted on by, as I've indicated, both floods and fire. I just wanted to, I missed a point regarding wildfires, just to indicate that we also recognize that climate change is one of the major threats that we have on Table Mountain in terms of longer and drier summers. And that as well is a key risk that we are flagging with regards to management of fire on Table Mountain going forward. We can engage a bit more on that in the question and answer session should you wish, Honorable Chair and committee members. Another complexity we deal with is the human-wildlife conflict. For Table Mountain, it is around baboons traversing into people's areas of habitation. We have engagements with the communities around Table Mountain and complaints that come backwards and forwards. However, we seem so far to have managed our interactions with communities and other key stakeholders and how we manage baboons. There is a slide that speaks to that. I'll move on and speak to stakeholder engagement. Table Mountain is unique as a national park with regards to the diversity of stakeholders that it has and that it attracts. This ranges from people who live within the suburbs that surround Table Mountain National Park, and I'm talking literally those which are at the foothills of the mountain. So those communities are very active stakeholders. In addition to that, the users of the mountain, whether it is for cycling or hiking, we also have concessionaires on Table Mountain who are a critical stakeholder. And then there's the city of Cape Town itself and its multiple organs, including the safety and security element of the city. So it is a very complex mix of stakeholders that we deal with. I mentioned Masiphumelele as well. So I'm going to make a distinction and speak about suburbs, which are official suburbs, such as, let's say, Simon's Town, which is more a town than a suburb, a Simon's Town, a Landano. But on the other hand, we have a Masiphumelele, which is an informal settlement, which is also a neighbor of ours. This creates a very complex mix of diversity within stakeholders and a very careful balance that we are constantly attempting to maintain in meeting all of their varied and often divergent expectations. I'd like to just very briefly touch on the crime response strategy. The vastness of the national park is an emphasis I make again, not to say that SANParks is not taking the responsibility it has to take to ensure that safety and security within this area of its responsibility is taken care of. We have in the past year ensured that we increased the numbers of boots on the ground. We have a team which we call the SEAM team, which is the Sea and Air law enforcement team. We have increased that unit. They're highly specialized in terms of their training. We've increased that unit from 16 to 40 members. In addition to that, we have also added additional numbers of people to a ranger corps. We have dog support that we have invested in and have also increased the number of dogs that operate within our canine unit. We have also, over and above the specialized teams of rangers and law enforcement related staff, our staffing has increased from 188 to 240, and this is within a space of a year and a bit. And why this is critical is we ensure that we do not dilute the duties of staff. So people who are in law enforcement or allied functions, or people who have a conservation mandate, should not find themselves, as they were, straddling and doing other duties that are outside of that original purpose of the function. And that is why we are just emphasizing why it is we had to increase the staff. I spoke about the complexity of the multi-agency relationship and the stakeholders, but it's a very critical one, particularly around criminal activities. The synchronization between ourselves, SAPS, as well as city law enforcement is a delicate one. We work very well, and we've had multiple successes in our engagements. But as I've indicated, the terrestrial area is vast. I noted this morning in the news that the city of Cape Town is employing 700 new police officers. So, developments of this nature are very critical to us because we are trusting that it will strengthen what it is we do, interventions on the ground with regards to combating criminal activities. We are also investing in security technology, and this includes body cams for our rangers and other safety equipment. We are also learning from some of the interventions we've introduced at the Kruger National Park, and seeing to what extent we can apply some of the technology that has assisted us in Kruger National Park with regards to rhino poaching, how much of that technology we can employ in Table Mountain. We're also in piloting drone technology within the park. And from a poaching or abalone poaching perspective, we are buying another vessel for our SEAM team. We have engaged honorable members with community representatives, our stakeholders, to understand some of the battles and some of the challenges and complexities and how we can meet them halfway. In one of my discussions, along with the team, with these representatives of communities around Table Mountain, one of the criticisms that was put forth was that we do not have on our staff, as much as we have increased the number of law enforcement personnel and officials, they are trained rangers. We do not have an individual or individuals who understand urban crime. And therefore that will always be a deficiency. So honorable members, in response to that, we are appointing this month. The advert did go out in August, a position that we have created called Visitor Safety and Protection Services, a senior manager for that for that job will be joining us. We have also increased our investment into our current ops center to ensure that it has a 24/7 capacity. And the city of Cape Town, just going back to the collaboration with the city, has what is called a fusion center where all law enforcement and I believe paramedics and the like are stationed. We have now appointed somebody to be stationed at that city fusion center just to accelerate a quicker response from ourselves as Table Mountain. We also have a volunteer safety services program that we're revitalizing. We are very fortunate as well as Table Mountain, as much as we say the stakeholders are diverse and they're complex, there is another side to that. We have stakeholders who are very willing to give off their time to assist in their volunteer capacity in various ways in just managing the integrity of Table Mountain. So the volunteer safety services, the idea behind it is just to ensure that we have a structured manner in which we manage these volunteer safety services coming from across different parts of our stakeholders. I spoke about encroachment as well, and the risk. The risk being biodiversity conservation, because literally people are cutting away species to create space for building. There is a visitor safety issue because we simply cannot manage the going-ons and going-abouts of people who've encroached and live on the mountain. We are increasing our monitoring and detection of activity, encroachment activity through regular vehicle and aerial patrols. I've also indicated earlier on about the use of drones. That is going to be able to assist us very quickly in terms of seeing when there is a likely encroachment, for example, the clearing of land. We use GIS mapping and photographic records. Our law enforcement and compliance joint operations I've mentioned with regards to SAPS and the city and other agencies to help us to address these unlawful structures and activities. We are not always successful, but we do ensure that once we detect that there is activity, major activities from encroachment point of view, we are able to respond speedily. I must just indicate that we have ongoing dialogue with our adjacent communities to try and resolve disputes before they escalate. Sometimes we're not always successful in capping them prior to escalation, but we are engaging. I've also indicated that periodically I also engage in my capacity with very senior members of SANParks with our stakeholders, particularly in the city. I'll just very quickly speak about fire management in terms of our solutions. We do ecological and fuel reduction bans. We have a very well-resourced alien invasive plant removal program, largely through EPWP. From an investment point of view, we have increased our resources in terms of vehicles, firefighting vehicles. We also conduct fire awareness in local communities. And the issue, I alluded to it earlier on, of communities overnight communities who sometimes start fires inadvertently. And those are sometimes religious groups or cultural groups that go into the mountain for activities that we're seeking to understand. And we have commenced a study where we are trying to understand which groups use fire for their activities, be they religious or cultural activities, and how best we can manage this risk. I spoke about the length of our trails. We have EPWP, teams and we have specialist contractors. We are now undertaking a comprehensive survey just to ensure that there is a sound. I'm not
Can
sure.
you just hold on, CE? Krista? A person called Krista? Krista?
Yeah,
Can you mute your mic and your video? You are disturbing the meeting, please.
sorry.
Oh, IT, can you remove her, please? Can you remove her from the meeting?
Was just not laying it down.
Can the host remove Krista from the meeting? Okay. Sorry for that, CE. You may continue.
Honorable Chair. I will not speak too much, but we do have a EPWP teams, and they're very critical. We've just given you a picture just to show you what a typical trail would look like. So some of them have got chains, some have got wooden decking, some of them in very precarious areas. As you can see, this is on the edge of a mountain. We're also, as I've mentioned previously, working with our volunteer groups and the honorary rangers who are supporting us on this work. I did indicate that it's a vast network of trails that we're speaking about. Okay, I'll just pictures that you would have seen in your presentation. Indicated that the issue of baboon management is one that has always been a vexing issue between ourselves and our neighbors, which means our stakeholders. 2 years ago, we became part of a joint task team with the City of Cape Town and Cape Nature, where we have developed a baboon strategic management plan. That includes population management, research, waste management, as well as strategic fencing. We have drafted an action plan as a joint task team, and that is currently being reviewed by experts. We do have a report that's publicly available. We've provided a link. But needless to say, what is very important is the creation of this joint task team has also created a central portal that communities living adjacent to the park can engage with directly without having to go to multiple agencies. So when they engage the task team, they find ourselves, the city as well as Cape Nature, because we jointly manage different parts of the area. So jointly we receive the complaint and are able to deal with it in a far more coordinated manner. I will just not go through this. I did indicate that we do meet and engage with our stakeholders quite often. We are increasing these engagements. We have escalated the engagements to the level where I am chairing some of these meetings and ensuring that we respond where possible as speedily as we can. Where response is not possible, we indicate to the stakeholders what plans are going into the future and we reach agreements. These stakeholder engagements are very important. As I've mentioned, honorable members, one of the takeaways from one of the meetings we had was we simply do not have a specialist in urban crime. And that was an input that we appreciated and that we have acted on. I'll move on to the West Coast National Park. Just an aerial view. West Coast National Park is next to Langaban, which is about an hour and a half from Cape Town. A much smaller national park. It is in an incredibly beautiful environment. It has within it the Langaban Lagoon, which, as earlier indicated, is a Ramsar site. And and it plays an important role within the Cape Floristic region, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. As small as it is, this park, and despite the fact that it doesn't have a major accommodation footprint, we also recognize it as a park that generates quite meaningfully through the revenue of the organization, contributing in the past financial year 16.24 million. We have a peak seasonal revenue, and that is the annual flower season, which starts now in September. It starts in August to September. Every single year it attracts both domestic and global or international tourists. I'd like to focus on this particular slide on a particular complexity for for discussion at this committee, which is the adjacent phosphate mining activity, which is managed by a company called GROPS. The other issues, which are really infrastructure related, I think it's very clear in our presentation how it is we are dealing with them, and I will not necessarily go through them. Let us talk about this mine. It's called the Elandsfontein mine. It's a phosphate mine. It's literally on the border of the national park. This is an aerial view of this park, not of this park, of this mine. It's on the border of the national park. It borders land that is owned by ourselves, or rather that we manage under West Coast National Park, as well as land that is owned by the worldwide what is the WWF? Sorry. The WWF actually owns some land as well around the park. When this mine was initially created, give or take a decade ago, one of the key conditions for the mining rights was that attached to the mining license would be a biodiversity offset. The biodiversity offsets ensure that whatever habitat loss is experienced due to an extractive activity such as mining or any other, but in this instance we're talking mining, it is compensated in some or other form, a tree planting, whatever may be the case. DMRE, which is the Department of Minerals, removed or later approved that the condition should be amended, and it removed this offset requirement, which then undermines, in our view, the conservation outcome. We are now in a situation where we have been approached by crops for a land swap in respect of the adjacent land to the park. You may be aware, honorable members, that this then became a High Court matter that was covered relatively extensively in the media, and it was a litigation matter brought by WWF as well as an entity known as the West Coast Environmental Protection Association. SANParks has officially opposed the land swap. We serve on a water monitoring group and have been on that group to monitor the impacts that the mine may have on water quality in the park. We are not parties to the litigation. The review application, which has been lodged by WWF with regards to the land swap, we are following the matters very closely. and shall continue to do that. We are continuing with the work that has to be done, not only in West Coast, but every other national park that neighbors a mine, to ensure that any potential ecological impacts of mining activity are dealt with through ongoing conservation, monitoring, and rehabilitation. We are very vocal and very active across the network of national parks in engaging and commenting on any mining applications around the parks that we manage. So this is a matter that we have a very, very keen interest on, and we are assuring you, honorable members, that we are not going to take our eye off the ball. We remain committed to addressing all of these complexities, as I've indicated in the beginning, while we lay the foundation for long-term conservation that is resilient. We have a few priority actions regarding these two national parks. I have indicated internal capacity and its importance, as well as operational efficiencies. I have touched on issues of stakeholder engagement. This is very, very critical. And we do welcome that we will be also engaging with the Gokukuha tribe as well, because stakeholder engagement, particularly in light of our Vision 2040, which is an inclusive vision of conservation of the future, where all land users, all stakeholders are regarded as critical partners to resilience in conservation going forward. And very central to this is engagement with communities. So we do welcome their presence with us today. I've also indicated here rebuilding public trust through measurable delivery and accountability. I've spoken about investment in maintenance, and this is specifically for Table Mountain. I will then leave it at that, Honorable Chair and Honorable Committee members, if you permit me, and I will take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, CE. Honorable members, that is the presentation from SANParks. Before I give you members, I just want to check with the DG if she wants to say something. DG Chabalala, do you want to say something before I give over to honorable members for questions?
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to honorable members and yourself, colleagues, Chairperson of SANParks, and also the CE. I don't have any additions, Chair. We'll just hear from the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. Honorable members, I am going to note hands. Okay, there's hands already. The hand of Honorable Holson, number 1. Number 2, Honorable Mkize. Number 3, Honorable Kumalo. Number 4, Honorable Makasi. 5, Honorable Mukwena. 6, Honorable DeBlock. I just want to clear something. I see other hands. This is the platform for the honorable members. Please, can you lower, Honorable Manaka, you'll be the last one. Can Francis Ars lower? Okay, Honorable Pilangulu, I'm noting, I just want to correct something. Can Francis Bars lower your hand? And who else who is not a member of this portfolio committee? Francis or Franciscus Bars, can you lower your hand? Mr. or Miss Bars, can you lower your hand? Honorable Paulson, you are number 1. Mkiza number 2. Kumalo number 3. Makasi number 4. Honorable DeBlock number 5. Honorable Managa number 6. and Honorable Mukwena Julian, number 7 at the last one. Carlo, can you mute your mic, or host, can you remove those ones who are disturbing our meeting? Carlo, can you mute your mic, or we will remove you from our meeting? In that order, honorable members.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Deputy Ministers. Good morning, colleagues. And good morning to SANParks officials present. Thank you very much for the presentation. And Chairperson, I've got a few questions. The main issue as far as Table Mountain is concerned is the safety issue. And I'm happy there's some intervention. And I'm also happy that in a week's time, I think they're taking people to go and see what has been done at Kruger National Park, and with the hope of implementing it in the Table Mountain National Park as well. But be that as it may, from January to May 16 this year, there were 78 recorded attacks on park goers. And if one were to project this to December 2025, it could possibly exceed 200 by that time. So given this escalating crime rate and the persistent safety concerns, how will SANParks increase staffing, which was from 188 to 240 by June 2025? And the newly appointed Senior Manager for Visitor Safety and Protection Services ensure an immediate and significant reduction in criminal incidents, especially before the planned delivery of security technology in November 2025. And also, I want to know, in terms of those visitor safety and protection services staff, they also work shifts. So how are those shifts, how are they divided into those shifts? And how many people are on duty on any given shift? And this, given the broad area they have to cover, is this sufficient? And then also, SANParks made 430 million rand, or had an operations income of 430 million rand last year, and only 107 million was spent on operations. So how does SANParks justify its current investment in security operations against the backdrop of a significant park revenue, and given the brazen acts of criminality? What specific plans are in place to address this perceived underfunding? I know so I also want to know, when SANParks recruits people, do they identify or advertise where people from the surrounding communities and those who frequent the park almost on a weekly basis, who know the park better than most, do they try and recruit amongst those groups as well? Because those people are very experienced, they understand what is happening. They even are more clued up on the dynamics of the park. And then also, what is SANParks doing to first and foremost train their staff to make sure that they are equipped to deal with the uniqueness of the park, given its vast size? And also in terms of retaining those highly trained personnel, which is crucial for effective security, what are you doing to ensure that you retain personnel and also to make sure that they are trained? And then beyond monitoring and detection and clear boundary demarcation, what specific long-term strategies are in place to address the underlying socioeconomic drivers of the land encroachment and prevent and also I think we need to have a clear balance here. Many of those areas that we consider now sensitive ecological areas were once inhabited by people. Now, as a way of excluding them from places where they once lived and they want to return to, we're now coming up with a strategy of saying that these are ecologically sensitive areas. How can it be? There are species of plants that grow there, they grow everywhere else on the park. But you want to deny people to access land where they once lived before. Also, in terms of fire vehicle resources over 4 years, how will these future resources effectively address the immediate and continuous need for rapid responses to fires threatening urban lives and infrastructure? And what interim measures are bolstering current capacity? Because there comes a certain time of every year where there are serious fires on the Table Mountain National Park. And when it happens, there's not a quick enough response to reduce the impact on people's lives. It creates, it's chaotic. So what is being done to ensure that this will not happen again? And also, in terms of the regular maintenance and upgrades of trails and park infrastructure, what is the estimated actual maintenance backlog or the current capacity gap in adequately maintaining the 225-kilometer network of trails and infrastructure? I know there are EPWP teams, specialist contractors, and once again, we have to thank those volunteer support groups who come out and work for free and who volunteer their time. And I think that brings me to my next point. There are many stakeholders when it comes to the Table Mountain National Park. There are groups that hike there. There are groups that are conservation groups, hiking groups. I'd like to know that when you speak to stakeholders, that no one is excluded from those conversations, that inputs is taken or people are invited to these stakeholder sessions and inputs are taken from all of them so that we have an inclusive management of the Table Mountain National Park. You must know it's a UNESCO heritage site. It is a site that many Cape Townians especially are proud of and have a stake in.
Thank you, Honorable Wilson.
Chair, I'm not done yet.
Please try and wrap up.
Okay. So I
Let's
just
take
like
the questions.
yeah, I'd just like to know, are all stakeholders included in these conversations? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhize.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. Greetings, Deputy Minister Singh Swart and DG Ms. Shabalala. I also would like to greet everyone present. Firstly, would like to welcome today's presentation from SANParks Your presentation paints a picture of park that is under search. I have few questions that I'm interested to get more clarity from SANParks. My first question would be, given SANParks' constitutional and legislative mandate, do you believe your board has been sufficiently supported by the department and government to protect our national parks? Or has government's inaction on crime, encroachment, and mining interest forced SANParks to carry the burden alone? CEO, your presentation highlights persistent marging, poaching, and even killings in the Table Mountain National Park, with a Table Mountain National Park generating, with the Table Mountain generating the 1.34 billion over 5 years, why has visitor safety remained such a failure? How do you explain that tourism and citizens are still at risk while SANParks is forced to buy drones and rely on volunteers when policing is a national mandate? You also mentioned about encroachment threatening the proclamation of land inside Table Mountain National Park. What has SANParks done to formally escalate this to Parliament or Treasury? On the Crops Mine bordering West Coast National Park, SANParks is aware that the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy removed the biodiversity offset condition. I would like to know, did SANParks oppose this in writing? Or do you agree this decision undermines your conservation mandate and directly puts West Coast National Park's ecosystem at risk? You also spoke of stakeholder forums and a rebuilding trust. Is this not an admission that SANParks itself, under government oversight, has lost public trust? What concrete actions will you personally take to restore accountability to communities living next to these parks? Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mkiza. Honorable Kumalo.
Chairperson, thank you very much.
Honorable Paulson, can you lower your hand? Over to you, Honorable Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity. Greetings to my colleagues that are on the platform, our officials, the board members of SANParks. Chairperson, let me start by appreciating and accepting the presentation by the CEO of SANParks. But I'm just having some few questions that I want to ask Chairperson. One, I want to check any initiatives that are available to schools, church groupings, and various NGOs that would like to visit Table Mountain, particularly for learning and explorative purposes. How much is generated, Chairperson, annually from the shops that operate on the mountains? Has anyone been found starting a fire, Chairperson? Or in terms of the report, there is a challenge when it comes to fire. I want just to check, Chair, Oguti, has been anyone being found or starting fire on the mountain, or are they sparked naturally? If yes, Chair, what consequence management practices do you have in place? Another thing, Chair, can they please finish us with the details of existing drone technology contract? How long has it existed? Have the drones assisted in minimizing crime and misconduct? Chairperson, what is the long-term financial plan for both parks? And lastly, what is the plan for retaining the increased staffing levels in both parks? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kumalo. Honorable Marcus, I hope that SANParks is noting those questions that are posed on the chat box, because there are questions that are posed on the chat box. So when you are responding, you will have to try and also cover those questions. Honorable Marcus, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to everyone on the platform. Both DMs present, officials led by the DG, and SANParks led by the board chairperson and the CEO. I'm happy that you have noted that there are questions on the IM box, and I think judging from those comments and questions, there is serious a problem with the consultation with the affected communities. My first question is, how is SANParks ensuring that local communities and interested groups are actually actively involved in decision making, and they are kept always informed about developments in the parks? And how is SANParks incorporating stakeholder inputs into its management plans? The second question is, what specific collaborations are in place with SAPS and other agencies? And what are the key performance indicators for these collaborations? The third one is, what are the exact plans for revitalizing the volunteer safety services in 2026? And what is the success rate of addressing encroachment, and how many cases have been successfully resolved? What are the long-term strategies do they have to prevent future encroachment, and what specific mechanisms are in place to ensure ongoing dialogue with adjacent landowners and residents? What specific measures are in place to mitigate the potential ecological impacts on the crops mine? And what are the specific outcomes on the water monitoring group? Do they have a legal strategy on the High Court review that they mention in the report? And how will the success of the interventions they speak about be measured for both parks? Chair, ethnic groups and traditional healers or leaders have been restricted from freely accessing these parks and forests, for that matter, to practice their religion or to be in touch with their ancestors. Have SANParks specifically engaged them and heard their cries and needs? If they have, what have they done about those? And if not, why have they ignored their cries? Is there any particular reason to that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Honorable de Block.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone on the platform, my fellow members, the officials, and the members of the public attending as well. Firstly, Chair, I think it is very unfortunate that SANParks didn't have this letter and that we aren't able to speak to that part of our agenda effectively today. Obviously, we have a very condensed portfolio committee schedule until the end of the year. So those areas that SANParks aren't able to answer to today, Chair, I would request that perhaps we get a written response from them detailing that. Chair, I've been partly covered by Honourable Makasi in terms of the stakeholders engagement and SAPS. I just further wanted to know, in terms of the engagements around this multi-agency response to the crime question, Chair, around the heads of agreement with the City of Cape Town in particular, and what the working relationship is there, as well as the working relationship with groups like Friends of Table Mountain National Park and the SANParks Honorary Rangers, as that relates to security concerns. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Tuplok. Honorable Managa.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Let me thank the presenter for the presentation that she did, the CEO. There are numerous dangers, Honorable Chairperson, of failed fires, namely damage to biodiversity, the risk to infrastructure, heritage, human safety, climate and environment, as well as the impact on economic and tourism activities. My questions, Honorable Chairperson, to SANParks are based on that section of the plan that the CEO has presented on firefighting. She mentioned the plan to increase vehicles over 4 years. So I just want to find out what is the target, what is the exact target number of vehicles, and how does that compare with the current shortfall? Honorable CEO, how will you and your team ensure that these vehicles are deployed strategically across the fire hotspots in the Table Mountain as well as in the West Coast? Is the funding for these additional vehicles, Honorable CEO, already secured, or are you dependent on future budget allocations? Coming to the mobile joint operations, why is the procurement only planned for 2026? Given the increasing frequency of fires, is there scope to accelerate this timeline? And how will the JOC improve coordination with the City of Cape Town disaster management as well as the volunteer wildfire services during large-scale fires? And on fire awareness in local communities, CEO, what specific awareness programs are you running currently? And how do you measure their effectiveness in reducing fires caused by human activities? And which communities have been prioritized of these campaigns? And how do you involve local leaders or local schools? And on the issue of cultural demands study, can you again elaborate on which cultural groups traditionally use fire in the park areas, and how SANParks plans to balance cultural practices with ecological safety? When will the study be completed, and how will its findings directly influence your fire management strategies? Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Managa. Honorable Kumalo, Mokwena, sorry.
Thank you very much, Chair, and greetings to everyone on the platform. Let me take this opportunity and welcome the presentation from SANParks. Chair, I've got few questions here to ask. Number one, I just want to check how many wildfires have been successfully contained and what is the average response time? And how is the cultural demand study conducted? And what are the expected outcomes? What are the specific measurable outcomes of the Cape Peninsula Baboon Strategic Management Plan? And how is the success of the plan being monitored and evaluated? Lastly, Chair, have there been any challenges in implementing the plan? If yes, how are they being addressed? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mokwena. Honorable Temba, you will be followed by Honorable Pilankulu.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to everyone on the platform. Thank you for the presentation, CEO. Most of the questions that I had are covered by my colleagues, but I will just shoot only two questions that I have. Why are body cams and cameras only arrive in November 2025? What procurement delay occurred, and what interim safety measures are in place? And my last question is on fire, as you were, my colleague, Honorable Managa when she was asking about the fire, I have a question that I want to ask. It's just get lost, but I'm still here. Where is my question?
It's fine, Honorable Temba. Maybe you are covered. Did
Bear
you
with
get it?
me.
Can I then move to Honorable Bilangulu? Then I'll come back to you.
Okay, please, Chair.
Honorable Bilangulu?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And greetings to our two DMs, DM Singh, DM Swart, the DG, the CEO, members of the parks and members of the public, and also honorable members and everyone else in this platform. Chair, I have a few questions to ask. Chair, what specific performance indicators or targets is SANParks using to measure the success of interventions made in relation to reduction in park crime incident, faster emergency response times, and improved ecological indicators? How will park management be held accountable if these targets are not met? And will progress report be shared publicly? Considering that frequent wildfires are a major risk in the Table Mountain National Park, exacerbated by climate change and invasive plants, is SANParks adequately capacitated to effectively implement its integrated fire management plan? And how is the agency adapting its fire prevention and response strategies to increasing climate pressures? Chairperson, despite the enhanced security measures described, reports of attacks, assault, and illegal poaching in Table Mountain National Park remains a concern. Are the increased ranger deployment and new high-tech surveillance tools actually bringing down the crime incident and environmental offenses in the park? What do the latest safety statistics show? And what further steps or support from SAPS and local authority are needed if crime and illegal resources harvesting continue to pose a threat to visitors and wildlife? What specific improvement in visitor flow and safety are expected from the R27 gate redeployment? Chairperson, what is the plan to manage peak season congestion beyond the infrastructure upgrades? And lastly, Chair, how are the financial resources allocated across the different initiatives mentioned in the presentation? I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Pelankulu. Honorable Temba, you maybe found your question now. You can mute Honorable Pelankulu.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My question is on with the mobile dog only operational in 2026, what interim capacity covers the multi-days fire events this summer? Thank you, Chair. That was my question.
Thank you, Honorable Temba. From my side, I think Honorable Mukwena has covered my question with regards to baboons, accessibility to the feeding low lying areas, but they have been reduced by developments. So and also the baboons are also exposed to processed food due to limited access to natural food. I just want to ask a question to SANParks about their long-term plan, considering the talks of rigid and electrified boundaries to restrict their range permanent as a solution to human wildlife conflicts. The second one that I have, Thrift Sands Nature Reserve carried out environmental education activities and gave local communities access to natural environment. And they also played a vital role on the ongoing counseling sessions, youth counseling sessions, and traditional initiation ceremonies, while protecting the remain patches of Cape Flats hewn strand felt. And additionally to that, plans were in place to establish a cultural emporium to tourists. What are the plans for the deproclamation? And was there a public consultation process for the deproclamation? Those are just two questions from my side. Honorable Temba, your hand is up, or is that a legacy hand? Okay, surely it's a legacy hand. I'm going to hand over to the CEO of SANParks to respond. And also, I hope that they have noted the questions that were raised on the chat box, so that they can also respond to those questions. Thank you. Over to you, CE.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I have my colleagues in here as well, and I will call on them through you, Chair, to assist here and there, especially on matters operational. The issue of crime is by far the largest and most critical risk that we face on Table Mountain, honorable members. And I have been emphasizing that the size, the sheer size and the location and the free access to this park creates its own set of circumstances. And I think earlier on I even said the park becomes a microcosm of the city. And we continue to invest in boots on the ground. As I have indicated, it's a clear focus that we have. We do have plans in terms of vacancy management. We do have plans in terms of over and above vacancy management, a strategic assessment of the resources required in terms of people. But that said, we have reflected, and it is clear that with the vast area we're looking at, and with reference to Kruger National Park, boots on the ground in the form of human beings can only cover so much. Where technology can assist us to cover vast tracts of land, to determine and have a literally helicopter view of what's happening in the land that we manage, we are going to utilize it. So I'm going to really respond to questions that have come from different members, and then I'll go back to ensure that I haven't because there is themes which are very similar. I'll go back to ensure that I haven't missed any questions. But Honorable Mkhize had a very specific question which said, are we investing enough in visitor safety? And Honorable Mkhize, we are increasing our investment. The question is, will there ever be enough given the size of the problem? But we are very hopeful and very positive about how technology will assist us in managing the issue at hand. It's a combination of technology and integration into other law enforcement agencies, as I've indicated, SAPS, as well as as the city's law enforcement agencies. I made mention of a fusion center in the city where there are screens and information comes through. And what is critical, even suspected suspected criminal information comes through, and the teams within that center are able to coordinate very quickly a response. Our contribution is technology. So when we have cameras, some of the technology obviously we cannot fully discuss publicly. That technology is going at least to help us from a surveillance point of view. Surveillance then enables alerting the fusion center in a quicker space of time than we have been able to. And then the fusion center coordinates a physical response to a threat that has been identified. While we are positive about I suppose, it's a very difficult question to say, will you ever really manage crime? And I'm going back to my use of the phrase microcosm. One can never be sure. We have to be positive, and we have to be open and agile as well to reacting as best as we can. But I'm just going to go back to why it is we say we're positive that we will see traction, and I'm careful not to say resolution, traction in our ability to manage crime on the mountain. It's because some of the technology we have used in the Kruger National Park with regards to rhino poaching, we are seeing the tangible results as we speak in the reduction, literally month on month, of the number of rhinos that are poached. So the cross learning is going to be very, very critical for us. And I think that has also touched on Honorable Makasi's question about the extent to which we collaborate with SAPS. Collaboration is really about relationships, and collaboration is always a learning process because you realize in the collaborative act where the weaknesses and deficiencies may lie, and we then seek to tighten those deficiencies. I can state without fear of contradiction that all of the agencies that we collaborate with around issues of crime are open to working with us and work very well with us. Individually or respectively, we have our own challenges on the ground, but we are in a constant seeking for improvement mode, both in regards to our collaboration and how we act on the ground. Honorable Makasi, you spoke about the revitalization of the volunteer services program that I spoke about. The plan is in place. We have engaged the parties that had raised their hands initially at the beginning of the year. I must just indicate that the VSS, which is the Visitor Safety Services Program, is our own initiative as SANParks. We called out to the stakeholders, and the one other positive thing about the stakeholders of Table Mountain is that they tend to be structured and organized, which helps us in terms of engagement. We know who represents which particular stakeholder. So we reached out to our stakeholders to say, we believe that we need to coordinate all of your efforts, which we appreciate, in terms of volunteering. We need to have them in a structured, coordinated manner. Let us create this particular program. Let's engage. Let's have terms of reference. Let's have approaches and strategies that we agreed to. At the beginning, I suppose, I think the best way one can put it is just to say, at the beginning of every initiative, it does have its own challenges, teething problems. We had some teething problems. Some of the members elected to walk away from this initiative. We have since gone back to these same stakeholders to say we acknowledge where the weaknesses may have been in our initial approach when we set up this program. We're improving that. Please, we need to welcome you back into the fold. We cannot do this without a collaboration and also an integrated approach to volunteerism on the park. And I must emphasize again, it truly is appreciated, the level of volunteerism we see on the park, but it's also critical that it is managed. And by managed, I also mean that there are certain policy frameworks and certain legislations that we are always cautioning our stakeholders to take heed of. And that's why the coordination through the VSS would be very, very critical. The Friends of Table Mountain, Honorable de Block, are a very critical and very vocal stakeholder, as you are well aware. We engage them. They were also invited into the volunteer safety services program. They declined to participate. They are an active critic of Table Mountain management, and their criticism is appreciated. We have also ensured that we bring them into the fold, into the stakeholder engagement fold, where rather than them stepping out into either social media or any other form of media to state their discomforts and unhappiness, they start with us first. We are managing that relationship, which we believe will improve at the highest of levels within SANParks. As I've said, it is at the CEO and EXCO level of management. And most importantly, for us as the management of SANParks, what matters is our response time and us being able to keep to the commitments we have made with regards to implementation within the timeframes that we indicated. And as I've indicated as well, the constant engagement, which I assure you, Honorable de Block and others who have raised issues around the stakeholder engagement, that we will maintain. It is not a flash in the pan type of approach. With regards to honorary rangers are a very critical stakeholder for SANParks. They essentially embody the culture of volunteerism within SANParks. They are a structured entity, which always assists, as I indicated, with the volunteer safety services. When you deal with a structured entity, you are able to channel your needs, and we're also able to ensure that they also channel their expectations to us in a structured, formal manner. The work that they do for us is incredible. They raise significant funding for all sorts of activities within not only Table Mountain, across the board, across all our parks. Honorary Rangers have chapters for all parks, and it has been a healthy, constructive relationship, and it serves as an example of how volunteerism within the conservation arena can be leveraged on. And we trust when we look at our concept of the volunteer safety services program that we will be heading in that direction. We have a blueprint with regards to how we work with honorary rangers. It's also a testament to the fact that we have the ability and the right attitude with regards to collaborating with volunteers. Honorable Khumalo, you made a comment about the existing drone contract. The existing drone contract, we can provide the necessary information, but it's a contract that started out as a firefighting measure, and now we're piloting it for use for crime management. I am going to request at some point Mr. Property Mokwena to step in. He is going to just speak to the numbers with regards to have we seen a decrease in crime. We have those numbers. Mr. Mokwena, just prepare yourself. And I'd like Mr. Mokwena to also address the issue of whether arsonists have been found in the act. My memory doesn't serve me quite well on that, Mr. Mokwena. But I'll move on to Honorable Makasi's comment about traditional communities and access to parks. Honorable Makasi, in all our 21 national parks, we have situations where we enable communities that are officially registered with us, communities that we have official agreements with, and that we recognize officially, access to parks for cultural activities / traditional activities. In some parks, we have agreements to allow access for harvesting of certain species, whether it is grass in the Kruger or in Agulhas. I'm thinking of another program of proteas for bioprospecting. But in the main, we have a very open and respectful approach to how we engage our partnership with communities. We come from a tenant in terms of I'm not sure.
Honorable
Sorry.
Mukwena, can you please
Sorry.
mute your mic? Can you
Something is
please mute your mic?
So we operate from a basic tenet that communities, their livelihood, their success, catalyzing socioeconomic development in communities is crucial. It's the center of what retains our social license to protect these areas. Community engagement is not always the easiest of engagements to have. It changes sometimes in terms of issues which are under consideration, the intensity of the issues. And what we try to do is to be as agile as possible in engaging with our communities. We're also open to saying, and earlier on when I spoke about collaboration, I'd like to apply the same sentiment to this issue of community engagements. To say we are open to engagement, but we're also open to correction. We attempt as best as possible to self-correct, but where in our collaborations we are then led to understand where we have failed or where the deficiencies lie, we have the right attitude to create those corrections. So yes, we provide access to our parks, and that if there is a community that we have left behind that we may not be aware of, we are quite open for them to engage us directly through the park managers for us to ensure that they're not left behind, that their word is not unheard. You also asked Honorable Makasi about management plans. The very essence of the development of management plans hinges on consultation, community consultation and stakeholder consultation. Honorable Makasi, if there is a community that feels that perhaps in our amendment of management plans, we have not heard their voices, we are quite open, as I've indicated earlier on, to engaging further. The attitude is that of collaboration. The attitude we have is that of servanthood, if I may put it that way. Then you advocate, not sorry, Honorable Kumalo. I will request Mr. Mukwena to also address issues about services available to communities in terms of access, which school access. We have a school access program across our parks. We come to you as a parliamentary committee every now and again to present on the number of schools that have accessed our parks. So we do have that outreach program. I may not necessarily have the Table Mountain numbers on hand. Honorable Kumalo, may I also request that we come back to you in terms of the revenues generated by, you made reference to shops. That is the concessionaires on Table Mountain. I must just indicate, so in the interest of accuracy, if we could have an opportunity to respond to that in writing, because it's actually reported in our annual report. So if we could then have if we could then be granted that opportunity to respond. Honorable Paulson, you had also spoken about the exclusion of stakeholders. Are all stakeholders taken into consideration? I've touched on that, but I just want to get into a little bit of a specific issue here. All parks in our networks of national parks have what are called park forums. Park forums are very critical platforms at which we engage with communities, where there is a two-way communication. They have their weaknesses. As I'm saying, the attitude is always to collaborate, and to refine wherever deficiencies are. We have battled in terms of park forum, creating a park forum for Table Mountain National Park. Attempts have been made. Meetings have been had with park forums, the Table Mountain National Park Forum. And we are at a point where the park forum has had to be dissolved. And it's simply because of the diversity of stakeholders that sit in this park forum, particularly, to state it very frankly, the diversity of communities that are represented on this park forum. And I alluded to this earlier, divergent needs and expectations. We will not say it's going to be easy. We are not going to give up. We will establish an engagement platform. And the colleagues are reflecting on, now that we understand even more why it is that due to the divergence of expectations and needs, how do we resolve this issue? We cannot not have a forum and a formal platform where we engage with our communities. But I just need to put that out there because it is also public information that a park forum has not has not really been successful. But in other parks, we have not had similar challenges. Our park forums, if not high impact, they are functional. But in the main, we have very high impact park forums. I will just request my colleague, Mr. Mokoena, who's the managing executive of Parks. He is the executive to which the Table Mountain National Park reports to. I'd like for him to just speak to issues of human capital, training and retention and recruitment from local communities. That's the one. And I'd like for him to also touch on the outreach programs for communities to explore Table Mountain National Park. I would also like Mr. Mokoena to deal with the issue of the firefighting vehicles, and whether the planned procurement can be expedited. Mr. Mokoena also had noted that Honorable Managa also had a question about fire awareness, and that relates to communities and schools. Which communities, which schools? And the study with regards to understanding the use, Honorable Managa, of bi-traditional and cultural groups. We have a variety of cultural and traditional groups that we know, as well as religious, if I may add, come onto the park. I'll just ask Mr. Munisi or Mr. Mokoena to just verify as well when we will complete that study, but it is due in a very, my understanding, it is imminent. And then I'll come back to the other questions through you, Honorable Chair. May I request Mr. Mokoena to take the platform? Thank you.
Yes, over to you, Mr. Mokoena.
Thank you, Chair of the Portfolio Committee, honorable members, both DMs, they are still present here, and all other members of the Portfolio Committee. I'll be brief. I think the CEO has sort of guided me in terms of the questions which I need to take. I will start with the issue around consideration of employment of local people within our national park, specifically in Table Mountain National Park. It would make no sense, other members, to source our expertise away from the national park. SANParks or parks has a history of a bad history in terms of how parks were formed. So one thing which we've mastered or we've come to realize or we are doing very well is to source our human capital from local communities. So in the Table Mountain National Park, most people who work there are sourced locally, and we then, especially for rangers and any other expertise, we then train our own sort of employees depending on the skills which is needed, especially for rangers. We will then send them to Wildlife College for training, and the SIM team, we've got the specialized training which we've designed for them, and we will then train them, and then if they meet all the requirements in terms of training, we'll then sort of onboard them to be employees of SANParks in permanent basis. We recently have run the Yes campaign in partnership with Yes. Where Yes fund some of the unemployed youth. We've told them straight that we will not allow a situation where we source people away from the city of Cape Town or away from local communities. So even in that instance, we are sourcing the unemployed youth locally. I will go to the other issues. I think there was the issue of a drone. I think we use drone with other tools as well. It's not only a ultimate solution. We've agreed to tap in existing contract. We did not have a drone existing contract before. We've sort of explored to tap in an existing contract for other services within SANParks. There was an issue of congestion on the R27 gate. So the issue there had to do with the position of the access gate, if you know, and that gate created a situation where there used to be a pile-up of vehicles on the road, which was not sort of safe. We've elevated that by applying for a lane which will allow us to have a dedicated area where the vehicles can sort of park before they enter the park. We are in a process of upgrading the park. Most facilities in SANParks are cashless as well, which will improve the access to that to that park. And the issue of around the issue of arson. So CEO, I think, mentioned in terms of the fynbos that it's dependent on fire, and those fires, we call them control fires, which we do for management purposes. The Table Mountain National Park is a sort of a standing fire break along the boundary of the park, and we do that on a yearly basis to prevent fires from entering the park or leaving the park or vice versa. So arson fires are illegal fires which are now created unaware. Those are the fires which gives us challenges because they start on times when we are not aware, and usually at night. And we have not catch someone starting the fires, because the people who are starting the fires, it's an illegal act. So they will make sure that we don't catch them as well. But if you are caught, it's got serious implications for you because you can be charged with several contraventions, because those fires may cause fatalities and even loss to expensive infrastructure and life. I must say that all the fires which we had to deal with in that area, or in Table Mountain National Park, we have not lost life, which is a good thing in terms of our approach. And while I'm at the same issue on fire, so the Forest and Fire Act prescribe in terms of the equipment and the vehicles and the tools and the fire beaters and the expertise we need to have in our possession to be fire ready. So I can stand here and say that before any other fire season, Table Mountain National Park is always fire ready to combat any fires. We don't do it alone. We do it with our partners as well. Almost at the end, Chair, the issue of the kids and access within our national parks or Table Mountain National Park. We've got a Kids and Parks program where we go out to schools and share with them in terms of what they can learn within our national parks. And in some instances, you'll find that the curriculum of a school will touch in a program which can only be seen in the national parks. We then take those groups. We've got dedicated buses where we go out physically to go and fetch the kids, and they come. We've got sort of interpretation officers who will then teach the kids in terms of the environment. There's a center in Table Mountain National Park, the Buffelsfontein Center, which is a sort of a museum with marine sort of archaeology, which it gets a lot of attraction from schools. So SANParks, when it comes to access, we are the last ones who will deny, especially our young kids, to visit our parks. We want to ensure that all South Africans are aware of our national parks, because the job we do is not only for us, it's for the public. Lastly, members, if I can try and tackle this one, because this is a difficult one in terms of the crimes, because it's not only our mandate as SANParks, we are part of it. The CEO has sort of explained in terms of the expertise we are getting to assist us in terms of fighting crimes. If we look at and the crime in that area ranges from robberies, muggings, break-ins in vehicles, and we do a lot of awareness to our guests, so that when they hike, we advise them to hike in groups, to use our call center number if they see anything which is not normal, and we've put several signage as well within the trails to sort of make them aware on areas which are not safe in the mountain. But I must say that we can only win this crime issue if we work together as South Africans. But I know that the city and SAPS and other law enforcement agencies are helping us. If we look at the stats as well, then our numbers are not bad if you compare them with previous years. They are less than the previous years, which means there's something we are doing positively. But I must say it's a long one, and it's a difficult one, because it's a reflection of society. It's not only isolated in Table Mountain. We are just a recipient for that because of the landscape there. Honorable members and Chair, I would like to stop there. If I've missed something else, I think I'll be guided by my CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mukwena. CE, is there
Yes,
anything?
Honorable Chair, I'd like for him to talk about fire management. There were some specific operational questions around fire management in terms of procurement of vehicles, and an interim plan regarding fire management while we wait for the procurement. Mr. Mukwena, as well as perhaps we can consider even sharing our integrated fire management plan with honorable members. Can you just touch on that one very quickly?
Mr. Mukwena?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair of the Portfolio Committee and the CEO. Again, I think I've missed that specific question, but I'm trying to say when it comes to our fire management, we are always making sure that we are fire ready, and we don't do that alone. We've got Working on Fire program. We've recently, if I recall, we used to participate in a contract which belongs to all the entities. We've done our own contract, honorable members, for fire services. which we are managing as SANParks, which provide all the expertise or resources which we need. So if there's a shortage of vehicles or any other matter, we go on and tap in that contract. That contract is a 5-year contract, which is managed directly by SANParks. So when it comes to fire issues, we do our best because it is a litigious issue as well if there's non-compliance. I hope that addresses the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable
Thank
Chair.
you. Yes,
Yes.
Marcelo.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm going to just request another colleague, Dr. Howard Hendricks, to deal with the matters that were raised by Honorable Paulson regarding encroachment. And some of the points he had made were, do we understand the underlying drivers of land encroachment? And we're denying people access to land that they inhabited before in the interest of sensitive or the management or control of access to what we term as sensitive ecological areas. Dr. Howard Hendricks is the Managing Executive of Conservation Services and SANParks, if I may allow him through you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Good morning, Chair and honourable members, committee members, and also Honourable DM Singh and Swats, if they're still with us, and also colleagues, and to the delegation from the local community as well. Chair, suffice to say that Honourable Paulson was absolutely correct to say that when we talk about encroachment, one needs to have a sincere appreciation for what results into what we then term encroachment, and therefore using a high-handedness to deal with the matter is a rather inappropriate and insensitive action, not just on the part of SANParks, but any organization or individual that wants to respond to that. And therefore, it's important to understand, what mirrors these trends of encroachment. And please note, in the case of some of our parks and in Table Mountain as well, there are essentially 3 types of encroachment, but essentially we talk about those areas around the suburbs which either build their swimming pools or their garages encroaching into the park. But I think a more sensitive issue is the fact where you have informal settlements or local communities where they then move into the boundaries of the national park. And the way to deal with it is obviously to understand these drivers and understand some of the social ills within society and housing issues. But what is important from an ecological point of view, which is also what Honourable I think Mkasi raised in terms of how do we monitor from an ecological point of view. We often, Chair, if I can just simplify it, use indicator species. These are sentinel species. So you can go into any environment, and it doesn't matter whether it's on land or sea, and you can monitor the presence or the absence or the abundance of these species, as they will inform you the health status of that particular environment. And where there's particularly fynbos, if I use the specific example, it is important for us then to use the combination of restios. These are all those thin-like plants within the fynbos environment. And by measuring the presence or the abundance of restios within that immediate environment, one is very quickly able, without sophisticated science, we're able to get a quick assessment of the status of that particular sensitive area. And we have multiple species throughout our system of national parks where we use it as quick indicators for the status of that environment. So we know that in the case of Table Mountain, there are certain plant species that find themselves, they're moving gradually higher up into the mountain. We know those species. We also know, for example, some of the lichens, we use those as indicator species. And then also, very importantly, penguins. They're also very sensitive to any disturbance within that immediate environment. And some of these species, like, for example, penguins, have already created, they've been to their threshold of around about 800, 850 individuals within that subpopulation. So yes, we're able to use ecological indicators that tell us about the state of affairs. And in terms of encroachments, besides the fact that we are able to demarcate or mark and map those areas, we also look at the composition of the vegetation and the animals we find in that area to give us a quick assessment of the status of that particular environment. And I must say that, yes, in some areas we've seen some concerns, and in other areas, other than the actual encroachment, there's not enough reason to alarm from an ecological point of view. Yes, we do understand where those areas of encroachment are, and we monitor the composition of indicator species in those areas very carefully. I hope I've answered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. CE, are you done?
Honorable Chair, not quite.
Just hold on, CE. Just hold on, CE. I just want to caution this person whose mic is on. I'm not sure that's Mr. or Miss Maharishakti. Can you mute your mic? There's a Maharishakti's mic that is on here. Or host, can you remove this person before she or he disturbs our meeting? Over to you, CE.
Thank you, Chair. There were some specific questions that came regarding issues around crime. What do the latest crime stats show, and has crime decreased or not? Mr. Mukwena touched on crime and our understanding, looking at the stats, that it has reduced. And if you may indulge us as well, Chair, to also respond to that in writing, with regards to the actual stats and the data. I think it was Honorable Vilankulo, you asked a question whether these reports around, our performance with regards to safety, with regards to ecological issues and fire management, whether they can and are public documents. And I would like to respond in the affirmative that we are happy to share any information that we're required to do. We do conduct regular media excursions, and the media also tends to carry, the voices of the officials on the ground and some of the issues that they have observed, as well as the documentation, but we are quite happy to deal with that. You also then asked, Honorable, whether we are adequately capacitated to deal with the climate change risk and its the outcome or the impact it has on increasing wildfires. We believe that we are. The study is an assessment that we have undertaken ourselves internally, of course, with assistance from other experts. And we undertake these climate readiness assessments for us to ready ourselves operationally to deal with risks that are brought to the fore by climate change. So it's a multi-year program. Capacitating ourselves in terms of fire management is part and parcel of our response to the threat of climate change. And I must just indicate, Mr. Mukwena did say we haven't really suffered any loss of life or public property or private property. Just to emphasize that we have a 90% containment rate. Through you, Chair, I'm requesting the matter of mining in West Coast National Park has certain detail and need for accuracy that one is a bit hesitant to just respond in a knee-jerk fashion. There are quite a number of questions that we have recorded around that Elandsford Elandsfontein mine, and we are asking chairperson through you if we can be able to provide a report to the committee in this regard, including issues of DMRE, WWF, issues of offsets. If we may be allowed to deal with that in writing. Honorable De Block also raised a matter around the heads of agreement with the City of Cape Town. That also has its own, it's a matter that has its own complexities. And one really just requests some of these things to be in writing to avoid inaccuracies, or perhaps not using even the right terminology to describe the or explain the situation that is at hand. So for me, those are the two major issues. If you can allow us, I would like to add a third one, Honorable Chair, that one of baboons. We do have a report that we can share with Parliament, baboon management. So for me, those are the three issues. It's the heads of agreement. It is the mining. It's baboons, and perhaps even the crime stats. But we are at. Is that at your discretion? You can guide us accordingly, Honorable Chair. I think, Honorable Chair, we've done our best to capture all the questions and to respond to them. Those we have missed, we will be corrected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. CE, honorable members, do you have any follow-up questions from the responses? Honorable Makasi, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the CE and the officials for the responses. And I think on the issue of the broader engagements, which is the question I asked, I think through you, the CE and all those that are actually in charge of these parks and forests in particular should ensure that what they're saying here is actually implemented or done as they're saying. As I was actually in presence of an incident that happened at Newlands Forest. And upon me engaging with the ranger there, which to me, I think he was not doing the right thing. He was found wanting and not able to respond. The issue of rules and regulations when you are utilizing a park, which, for an example, referred me that anyone that wants to utilize the park should consult the website of SANParks. When I asked if a person does not have access to internet, how does that person know what is it do and it don't in a particular forest? So there's nothing even on the boards as you are about to enter the park to be alerted of what is to be done and not. And the group that I saw that was, to me, victimized was a group of traditional healers who, to my understanding as Africans, they wanted to do maybe something of interacting, as I said in my question, with their ancestors. The office was closed because I wanted to also go there and interact and try and remedy the situation. So it is a response that is acceptable to me by the CE, but I think my emphasis is on ensuring what they respond and say to us is actually what is implemented on the ground. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. I think they have captured your comment. It's not necessarily a question, but a comment, and I believe that they have captured it. From my side, CE, I know that as the committee, we have an outstanding meeting with Kruger National Park CPAs, which was affected by arbitration process and Minister George's intervention between SANParks and CPAs on land claims and beneficiation scheme. So I just want to check how far is the arbitration and the intervention process, because I want us as the portfolio committee to plan so that when we have a meeting, a follow-up meeting, we plan accordingly. If you can just respond to that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We, as you will know, and I'll just do a very quick recap, Minister requested last year that we should not follow an arbitration process. His preference is that we rather request the land claimants to come back to the negotiating table, which is a process that has been ongoing for the last, give or take, 9 months from the beginning of the year. Matters are approaching conclusion, Honorable Chair, and it is difficult for me to commit to a date, but needless to say that we have given this month of September as a month at which we are going to conclude a way forward, and that preferably this matter does not continue or spill over into October. So as much as I cannot, Honorable Chair, give you a specific date, I can indicate that internally and in our engagements with those communities that are affected by the land claims in the Kruger, we have put a deadline of end of September. We even have a meeting. The next meeting is next week. But I trust, Honorable Chair, that also gives you some guidance when I indicate that we had can I say a deadline of September in mind, and there has not been any requirement or request to change this term and condition that was put from the beginning of our engagement. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. You know that is fine. That will guide us for our follow-up meeting. It's fine. We're comfortable with that response. Honorable members, I think we have reached the end of our meeting, but we have resolved now that the written responses on the issues that were raised by Langeban community and also crime stats, mining, your DMRE and WWF, and the revenue generated from Table Mountain concessionaries to be submitted on the 15th of September. I don't think it's unfair. At least we are giving you enough time to prepare for those responses. Monday next week, 15th of September, we will expect those written responses, CE and the team. And yes, hopefully, if you have not responded to some of the questions that were raised in the chat box, you will also cover those questions when you are responding in writing. So that is the due date for the return responses, 15th of September. CE. I think it's you are fine with the date.
Very well. It's good. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. With those few words, honorable members, let me just thank all the members that attended our meeting, the chairperson of the board in her absentia, the DMs, Honorable Singh and Honorable Swartz, in their absentia. Just want to double check if Honorable Swartz is not in the meeting. Okay, in their absentia, and the stakeholders.
Chairperson, sorry to
Oh.
disturb you. I got back from cabinet and I've been listening for the last half an hour. Thank you
Is
very,
it?
very
Oh.
much for all the inputs
Okay.
and the timelines and the way forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Okay, thank you very much for that. Let me also thank the stakeholders from the different communities and also the departmental officials that were led by the DG. She had indicated earlier that she would request to leave at 11:30. Let me thank all of you, the officials, the team from our portfolio committee, everyone in the meeting, the stakeholders. Thank you very much for this fruitful meeting, and hopefully it will yield positive results, and all of us we will at least be happy. Thank you very much, and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank
you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Thank you,
Have a
members.
lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.